Chapter 14. What Dreams May Come. The imaginary landscape had turned into an ocean of stars with floating cliffs and waterfalls. Kuhisha and Simba leapt from formation to formation. "So what exactly are we looking for?" asked Simba. "How am I supposed to know that?" retorted Kuhisha. "It's your screwed up mind," snickered Simba. "Oh, and that obviously means I know how to get myself out of a coma," countered Kuhisha. "I mean..." Just then Simba stopped. "What the fuck?" he exclaimed wide-eyed. Then Kuhisha saw it too. "What the fuck indeed?" "So how long is this gonna take?" asked Mitu. "It depends," answered Rafiki. "It depends on what?" asked Mitu, this time a tad annoyed. "It depends on how fast they reach their goal," answered Rafiki with his usual calm demeanour. "So what's the goal then?" asked Nala. "That is a very good question," answered Rafiki, much to the annoyance of the rest of the group. "It almost sounds like you don't know," Kuchikesha remarked. Rafiki chuckled. "Maybe I do, maybe I don't. The point is that only Simba and Kuhisha can determine how quickly their mental journey will end." "I really wonder just what exactly they are seeing right now," Nala mused. "A giant sparkling version of my girlfriend!" Simba almost yelled, though in the dream realm a whisper can feel like an explosion and a scream can seem like leaves rustling in the wind. "Why are you yelling at me?" countered Kuhisha. "Because it's your fucking mind," countered Simba. "Why are you thinking of my girlfriend like that? I thought you were gay," Simba asked. "Okay, first of all, I never said I was gay, and secondly, I truly have no idea what she's doing here." The almost godlike glittering version of Nala levitated lazily through the eternal sea of stars. "You're lying," stated Simba. "Why would I be lying? We are in my mind. I'm being honest, and I have no idea." Kuhisha kept on insisting. "So what exactly do you think of Nala then?" Simba inquired. Before Kuhisha could even answer, did the apparition of Nala burst into pink dust, just to manifest itself a few seconds later in normal size in front of Kuhisha. "Looky who it is," the apparition said with an undeniable teasing tone of voice. "If it isn't the big, strong, and oh so brave Kuhisha," said the glittering version of Nala in mockery as she circled Kuhisha, her tail playfully sweeping across his chin. Kuhisha kept quiet. "What's the matter? No boast, no display of superiority? Is little Kuhisha lost for words?" Simba watched in confusion. "What the ever-loving crap," he uttered. The apparition kept on teasing Kuhisha, and he just didn't react. "Kuhisha? Kuhisha, are you okay?" Simba asked, now being genuinely worried. What? Kuhisha snapped out of it and then turned to face Simba. His face was bright red. The sparkling apparition kept on circling Kuhisha, and so he got distracted once again. "I think I might know what we need to do," muttered Simba under his breath. "I am seriously considering telling your parents about this. I don't doubt that Simba and Kuhisha will be successful in what they need to do, but I am not sure how quickly they get it done, and the king and queen, as well as Kuhisha's mother, will want to know what is going on." Rafiki pondered. The assembled cubs looked at him wide-eyed. "Why are you looking at me like that? Even crazy old Rafiki has a sense of classic responsibility," he reasoned. "Tell you what," he said. "I give them until the sun starts to touch the horizon. Should they still not be done by then I will have to tell your parents." Back in the void, Simba was trying to find a way to get Kuhisha to face one final fear and not be consumed by it. The apparition kept what Simba guessed must have been sweet-talking. "Hey, Kuhisha!" Simba roared. Kuhisha just mumbled something incoherent. He was entranced. The entire field of stars that was surrounding them had turned a warm shade of purple. "There has to be something to get him out of this around here somewhere," said Simba as he started to leap from floating rock to floating rock in search of a feather or a twig, something to help snap Kahisha out of it. It wasn't long before Simba got lost. The vastness of Kahisha's subconsciousness was unfathomably large. There was no beginning and no end. When Simba decided to look back, he realized to his shock that Kahisha and the figure resembling Nala were gone. He spun around, trying to find some point of reference, but didn't. He spun around once more, slowly starting to panic. What if he never found his way back? What if neither he nor Kahisha ever woke up again? He started to breathe faster, and just as he was about to cry for help, did an entrance to a cave appear. Suddenly, almost everything went black around Simba. Just the cave entrance remained illuminated by some unseen light source. The light didn't penetrate the persisting darkness inside the cave. A whisper started to sound from within the depths of said cave. Simba looked at the cave in a mix of fear and fascination. "Hello?" he hesitantly asked, but no answer was heard as the whispers continued. Simba put one paw in front of the other, slowly approaching the all-consuming darkness. "Is someone there?" he asked into the darkness. Still no answer, just whispers. Simba was now inside the cave. He hadn't stepped into the darkness just yet. The purple glow still bathed him in light. Summoning all his bravery, Simba stepped into the darkness. The moment his paws had left the light, the purple glow faded away. Now Simba really didn't know where he was, or who else was with him in the darkness. The whispers were getting louder, or were they distancing themselves? Simba couldn't tell. They seemed to be anywhere and nowhere at once. What were they saying? Were they mocking him? Were they plotting, scheming, or maybe getting ready to attack? Simba couldn't tell. They were too chaotic. But there was a low hum coming from somewhere too. Then it stopped, only to start again. Simba concentrated on that hum. It was a constant in a sea of chaos. Simba started to walk towards the humming noise. It got louder and more nuanced. It was a melody. The whispers started to die down, but the humming remained. Simba kept walking, then suddenly, light returned. It was a pale light, but light nonetheless, and that light illuminated a veil of vines. Simba wanted to step through the veil, but a grown lion with a mane of white fire stepped out before he could enter and blocked his way.
"Stay away,"
the lion roared and gleamed at Simba with intensity.
"This isn't for you to see,"
declared the lion. "What is not for me to see?" asked Simba.
"That which lays behind the veil,"
responded the lion, his eyes too glowing white. "I don't understand. What is it?" asked Simba, somewhat intimidated.
"None of your business is what it is,"
exclaimed the lion. "That doesn't sound very majestic," countered Simba, now less intimidated.
"Your mom is not majestic,"
said the lion, who seemed to slowly loosen size and mane. Before Simba could answer, a female voice could be heard from behind the vine. "Kahisha, what did I tell you about name-calling?" Really, Mom? No," responded the lion, who by now was the size of a teenage lion. "No, and always. You are not going to make or keep friends by insulting their mothers. You wouldn't want them to insult me, now would you?" asked the voice.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mom,"
said the lion, who now looked exactly like Kahisha, just with a white fire instead of a tuft of mane. "I'm not the one you should apologize to," sounded the voice. Kahisha shuffled his feet sheepishly on the ground and said,
"I'm sorry. I'm sure your mom is really majestic."
"Apology accepted, I guess," said Simba in slight bewilderment. He still didn't know what to make of this. "Kahisha, why don't you invite your friend inside?" asked the voice.
Do you want to come inside?"
asked Kahisha. Simba was still confused. Did Kahisha not recognize him? If so, why? "Sure," he said, and stepped through the vines. Inside he saw a familiar face. It was Musa, Kahisha's mother. She lay in the middle of the dimly lit cave. Kuisha rushed past Simba and into his mother's arms. There he shrunk yet again to the size of a very young cub and fell asleep in his mother's arms. Musa was humming a lullaby to him. That must have been the hum Simba had heard. "I don't understand," said Simba. Musa raised her head and smiled. "You are in the most guarded mental place of Kuhisha," Musa explained. "So this isn't really Kuhisha?" asked Simba. "It is, but it isn't. All of this is his mind." So he, she gestured to the small snoozing cub, is a part of Kuhisha's mind. But it's not his main focused self. Not who he is, but who he feels he is when he is with me, his mother, Musa went on. We act and feel different based on who we are with. You might be more courageous when you're with friends, or maybe feel more secure when you're with your mother and father, since you know they'll keep you safe. But being courageous and feeling secure don't mix too well, and Kuhisha is very careful not to let anyone catch him when he feels safe and sound, especially not when he's snuggled up against his mother. That is why he took on the form of the grown lion, to protect this part of his. He just isn't very secure about this part of himself. Musa finished. I guess that makes sense. I'm not too keen either on letting anyone see me being tucked in by my mom, Simba reasoned. Musa nodded. I take it you need help with something, otherwise you wouldn't have wandered off so far into Kuhisha's subconscious, said Musa. Yeah, that is... I'm not sure. The thing is, I think Kuhisha might have a crush on my girlfriend, but he's not willing to admit it. I think, Simba tried to explain. I think I might know how you can get through to him, said Musa with a confident smile. Chapter 15. One More Time. Something between fear, love, and a third, nay uncoverable emotion. That was what Kuhisha was feeling as he felt unable to move in a prism of his mind. Every direction he tried to look towards went on forever, an eternity of Nalas who flowed in and out of existence. He wanted to feel angry. He wanted to express the anger he felt too. A roar would have given him a grounded sense of orientation. If not anger, then at least he wanted to feel a feeling of superiority over someone. It was just impossible for this emotion to come forth, not in the presence of Nala, of the fully concentrated essence of what Nala meant to his mind. It was the last big gate to open, that much he knew. The last big secret he had kept from himself, the last idea he had disregarded again and again. Did he think Nala was pretty? Sure. Did he think she had a great personality? Also yes, with some caveats. Did he think Nala was better than him? The answer was more complicated. He could not get over the answer, not alone at least. Nala probably never meant to infect his mind with so much deep-seated doubt in the first place, but this wasn't actually Nala Kuhisha had to deal with. It was Kuhisha's idea of Nala. There he is, a voice seemingly whispered from outside the prism. Kuhisha, Simba yelled from far away. He needs to be freed by seeing the person and no longer focusing on the idea, said the other voice whom Kuhisha could almost recognize, yet he failed to know where from. What does that mean? Simba's voice asked, but no answer was given. Damn, exclaimed Simba. She's gone. Okay, at first I thought it was just coincidence, but now I'm getting a bit freaked out by it, said Nala. By it, Nala meant the fact that in the real world, Kuhisha had now been repeating her name for at least 3 minutes over and over again. I hate to snoop around in people's private feelings and all, but Nala began, unless Esabe and me and Simba, interjected Mitu in a rare moment of snark. But, Nala repeated while ignoring Mitu, do any of you guys think that he is saying that because he got a crush on me or something like that? The other cubs looked at each other with unsure expressions. He never said anything about that, said Fikira. Then again, he also never said anything about having a thing for Mitu, he added contemplatively. Then what the ever-loving fuck could it be? Pondered Nala. Okay, seriously, muttered Simba to himself. What is so special about Nala? I mean, besides her eyes and how cool she can be, and Simba stopped talking for a few seconds. A mist was starting to build up around him. A pink mist. The same mist he had lost himself in earlier. What is that? He muttered to himself again. His self-made maze. The voice of Kahisha's mother had returned, but already sounded like it was fading again. Okay, which means... Simba tried to inquire. His thoughts rule this realm. If he believes there is no way out, then it is so, said the voice. So I can't help him? Asked Simba, still unsure of what to make of it. You are a visitor here. The rules don't apply to you. At least, as long as you can see the truth, the voice went on. The truth about what? Asked Simba. Nala, the voice said. Nala is... Well, Nala, said Simba. To Kahisha, that means something else than it does to you, the voice explained. Okay, then tell me, what does she mean to Kahisha? Asked Simba, as he was slowly getting fed up with this question-answer game. Get to him, and he will tell you, but first you must clear the mist by thinking not of the idea of her, but just her. The voice trailed off. Nala herself? Simba muttered. Okay, she is kind and has really deep blue eyes. The mist thickened. She acts very mature for her age. Actually, maybe that's just a half-truth, Simba reconsidered. She can be a bit arrogant and self-assured in her own way, he said to himself. The mist began to thin. She thinks that she is above my immaturity, but then she decides to tag along on my adventures like an idiot, Simba snickered. He also noticed the slowly disappearing mist around him. Wait a minute, Simba remarked. That's it, he finally realized. Nala has flaws, he said, and the more flaws I point out, the less nebulous everything gets. Literally. Okay, let's see, she's trying to keep her goody two-shoes image at all costs, even if it means that she is acting more naive than she could ever be. The mist was almost completely gone. She disregards Mitu's autonomy constantly and treats him like he is a lot younger than her, even though they're twins, Simba said with a smug grin. Also, she sometimes still wets the bed at night. The mist had disappeared, and in the distance, Simba could see Kahisha staring at, well, nothing really. Simba ran over to him. Kahisha! Sorry I lost you earlier. I think I know how to get you out of your trance and out of your coma, he addressed Kahisha, who was mumbling to himself. Nala is... The rest was unintelligible. She's not perfect. I think that is what you need to know about her, Simba tried to tell Kahisha, but the latter didn't seem to notice. Something to redirect his mind. That's what I need, Simba mumbled. Of course! It was obvious. Yo, Kahisha, did you know that... Simba hesitated for a moment. He needed a bomb of an embarrassing reveal about himself. Did you know that I memorized the entire choreography of our Pride's Huntress dance, and I also had my mom do the traditional Huntress Moon celebration paintings on my face, and... What he was about to say was true, but deeply embarrassing to him. Back when his mom had done the face paint for him, he had looked at himself in the reflection of the waterhole and declared that he felt super cool. What he had been too insecure to say back then was what he would say now. And I felt pretty, he finished the sentence. Just like that, Kahisha snapped out of it. What? Did you also feel witty and gay? He snarked. Simba felt a sigh of relief and went to hug Kahisha. Okay, not the reaction I had expected for making fun of you, but I'll take it, Kahisha said with an unsure smile. I'm just happy that you're no longer completely mentally entranced, said Simba as he let go of Kahisha. Oh yeah, Nala. She must have been preoccupying quite a large part of my mind, Kahisha remarked. Then he turned back to Simba. Wait, did your mom actually put makeup on your face? It's not
makeup. It's war paint, Simba said, while rolling his eyes. Tomato, tomato, grinned Kuhisha. Look, it doesn't matter. We need to resolve whatever issue your mind has with Nala. Then you should hopefully wake up again, Simba explained. But I don't know why she's preoccupying my mind, Kuhisha said almost defensively. I think I might know how we get to know it, though, Simba remarked. How? Asked Kuhisha. You have to face yourself one more time, Simba answered. When did I face myself before? Kuhisha inquired. Well, you didn't literally face yourself, but you opened up in the arena. You had to face yourself to do that, Simba reasoned. The point is that within your subconscious, there is a cave with your mom and a version of yourself in it, he went on. I'll lead you there. Also, if my theory is correct, then you will have to be kept on track by concentrating on anything but Nala. He expanded upon his explanation. If you get too preoccupied with the thought of her, then you will be stuck again, and I'm not sure if I can remember yet another equally embarrassing story as the previous one. So you have my full permission to mock, praise, or small-talk me to death until we are at your mental mommy mind cave, Simba finished. That is a terrible name for the core of my mind. Let's just call it exactly that, my mind core, Kuhisha argued. Fine. What? Shall we forth? Asked Simba, and Kuhisha nodded, and the two were on their way. Chapter 16. Revelation. I'm not sure if we should go in there, remarked Kuhisha, staring at the glowing cave. Why not? Asked Simba, determined to move on, but willing to hear Kuhisha out. You know that feeling when you're with friends, and you're having fun, but then you're being a bit too loud and your mom comes in being really annoyed and somewhat angry, telling you to be quiet. The issue isn't that you are being told off, it's that it's happening in front of your friends who don't know how bad this truly was. They're just standing there and waiting for your mom to leave, Kuhisha explained. Oh, Simba simply responded as the described scene unfurled in front of his inner eye. His body froze up for a few seconds as the uncomfortability of the situation flowed through him like a misty river at night. Then Simba shook himself. Yeah, no, that's an awful feeling, he declared. Exactly. I don't really want that, and if what you say is true, then my mom will be in there and she's probably going to be pissed, Kuhisha went on. Why would she be pissed? Simba asked. I don't know. It just feels like it, Kuhisha stated nervously. Maybe I should go in there alone, he said. No, you're not going to do that, Simba interjected. I'm here to keep you on track. Any and everything that could distract you from figuring out your issues with Nala will keep you in the coma even longer, and that's a big no-no. Partly because we would have to get your and my parents involved if you're in a coma any longer, and I don't want that. Secondly, Simba hesitated. Open affection towards his former enemy was still new to Simba. Thoughts of being called guy or it coming off as too sensitive meandered through his head. Then he remembered what Igunya had said. Why was being like a girl, sensitive or even gay, a bad thing in the first place? It wasn't. He just had been taught that from one lion or another. Secondly, he repeated, I really care about you. I want you to get out of your head and back into the real world. Kuhisha first tried to hide a smile, and then just raised his head to display it with pride. Thanks, Simba. That means a lot. He patted Simba on his little tuft of mane. All right, onto the breach, he declared, and led the way into the cave. Just like before, did a grown lion with a pearly white mane emerge from the depths of the cave to stop them. Kuhisha knew instantly what he was. Begone, stranger! This cave does not concern you, the lion roared. I am no stranger, declared Kuhisha. I am Kuhisha, son of Musa, and any and all who want to hurt my mum first need to get through me, he roared. The white maned lion vanished. What was that? Asked Simba. That, Kuhisha said, was a defense mechanism. A relatively long time ago. The other pride had killed the king. As was custom, all of his offsprings would be killed too. Umusa, one of the king's maids, held her only son in her maw as she ran as fast as her paws would let her. Hours later she would rest, having left her previous home. Her son had not seen his father die, but he too had been scared. Scared for his life, but also scared for his mother's life. Safety was not a word he would accept for a few more weeks. Great plains lay ahead of them, and whenever they needed food, Umusa would have to leave her cub in a safe spot. The hunt would drain her energy, which left her defenseless during the night. This in turn meant that Kuhisha stayed awake for hours on end during the darkness. Only light would vanquish treacherous foes. He would not be able to defend him or his mother if they were attacked in the dead of night, but he could wake her up if push came to shove. A bit later they came across a small semi-tribe of wandering rogues. Umusa agreed to participate in their hunts if they kept Kuhisha safe. In this group, Kuhisha would learn to hate parts of himself. Any action that the rogues considered too soft was automatically reacted to with demeaning comments and the occasional smack. He endured it for his mother's sake. She endured all of the rogues' negative actions for her son's sake. Not all of them were bad, but those who were truly took a toll on both Kuhisha and Umusa. Kuhisha tried to befriend, or at least be on good terms, with the more well-adjusted members of the group. He managed to spy out poachable territories with his young eyes. Soon he had become the mascot for the few nice members of the rogues. Then, one night, when he was about to sleep, he noticed that one of the group members was approaching his already sleeping mother. The rogue obviously wanted to have his way with her. Kuhisha then yelled out the words that he would later repeat in the innermost sanctum of his mind. He imagined himself standing tall as his late father once did when he roared, "I am Kuhisha, son of Umusa, and any and all who want to hurt my mum first need to get through me." Then a fight broke out among the rogues. Many of them mauled one another, as there had already been tensions brewing for a long time, but now the powder keg had erupted. The noises of the fight attracted the king of the land on which they were poaching. The king and his lionesses resolved the fight and drove away the surviving lions. Having become injured in the fight herself, Umusa tried to limp away, cub and more. But the king ordered her to stop. The lionesses surrounded her and her cub. Observing the two bruised and scared figures, King Mufasa decided to grant sanctuary to the mother and her child. The rest is by now well known. Kuhisha had explained all of this to Simba as they walked deeper into the cave. "So, that lion with the white mane wasn't you, it was your dad?" asked Simba. "What I remember of him," responded Kuhisha in contemplation. "Do you remember anything else of him?" asked Simba. I think he was a kind lion," said Kuhisha, trying to piece together memory fragments. "He once told me," Kuhisha began, unsure if he remembered correctly, "that it didn't matter who I was, as long as—" He rummaged in his brain yet again to find the correct words. "As I didn't hurt those close to me." "I think he also must have known, or at least guessed some things about me," Kuhisha kept on contemplating. "He once said something like, 'Find a heart that beats in tandem with your own, no matter in whose chest it is.'" Kuhisha smiled. "That's deep, I think," said and then asked Simba. "I know now what he meant, but back then I must have just kind of nodded," Kuhisha said. "Kuhisha," said the voice of Umusa. Without knowing it, the two cubs had made it to the core of Kuhisha's mind. There lay Umusa, this time no cub in her arms, which made sense, since Kuhisha himself was now here. "Alright, Mom, am I supposed to call you Mum, or are you something else?" Kuhisha asked Umusa's apparition. "You can call me whatever you're comfortable with. I wouldn't want to embarrass you in front of your best friend," she smiled warmly. Simba felt oddly proud being called that by Kuhisha's innermost thoughts. "Alright, Kuhisha did hesitate, because he wasn't sure how to ask this figure about Nala. "Come on, the question is simple," Simba said while rolling his eyes. "Okay, then ask. I'm lost for words right now," said Kuisha. "What does Nala mean to you?" Simba said, as if it should have been obvious. Kuisha crinkled his nose. "Sounds a bit simple, doesn't it?" Simba rolled his eyes. "Okay, how else would you say it then? Wherefore art my thoughts upon this flower of beauty called Nala?" Simba sneered. Kuisha chuckled. "Okay, Nala will hear about your Shakespearean aspirations when we're both awake again." Then he looked back at his mother. "Alright, if it's that simple. Mum, what does Nala mean to me?" An amused smile appeared on Musa's face, and she began. "To you, she's a future sister-in-law, a worthy opponent in body and mind, a role model, a good confidant, and a good friend," Musa finished. "Wow," remarked Simba, trying not to go for some obvious teasing territory, as he would have done a few days ago. "Role model? How?" asked Kuhisha to himself. "I don't know, maybe she can give you beauty tips or something," joked Simba. Kuhisha shot him a quick, sly glance and interjected, "War paint, buddy," reminding Simba that he couldn't really get him from that angle. Slowly, Kuhisha's mind cave resolved around them. "I get the other stuff," said Kuhisha, "but why?" Then the two of them woke up in Rafiki's tree, surrounded by Kuhisha's gang, and Nala as well as Mitu. "Role model?" said Kuhisha, still in the daze. Chapter 17. Forever After just means for the time being. "Role model?" Nala raised an eyebrow. She wasn't alone in her confusion, as Kuhisha's gang were all looking at each other with question marks on their faces. Both Simba and Kuhisha were waking up again. After a good minute of varying levels of externally shown relief, the group had some questions for Kuhisha. Questions were being yelled all at once. Neither Kuhisha nor Simba could understand anything. "One at a time," Simba finally roared. "We're going from left to right. My left, and right, that is," he declared. The Raja was first. "What was it like when you were knocked out? Was it like a shared dream?" "It was kind of like that. But we were only in my mind, so it wasn't really a shared dream," Kuhisha explained. Next, Shwari spoke. "What exactly made you wake up again?" he asked. Simba looked at Kuhisha, who was trying to find the right words. "It's a bit difficult to pinpoint, really. It was Nala, but not in the way you might think," Kuhisha explained. Nala's eyes widened in surprise, as murmurs went through the group. "What do you mean by that?" asked Nala. "It means that I had to figure out that you mean something to me, and that something is similar to what Simba means to me," Kuhisha explained. "And what would that be?" asked Kuchikesha. A sister who got some traits that I admire," Kuhisha answered truthfully. Nala didn't really know what to say. "Well, that is very sweet indeed. However, now that all of you are well again, I would appreciate it if you could vacate my tree," said Rafiki, who had decided that his services were no longer needed, and therefore his home no longer needed to serve as a makeshift hospital of sorts for the cubs, who without a lot of arguing jumped down from the tree's branches. The cubs started to make their way back to Pride Rock, but the questions kept on coming. "You see Simba as a sister?" asked Hila. Kuchikesha snorted and laughed at that question. Simba rolled his eyes. "Kuhisha meant that he sees me as a brother and Nala as a sister. He said that I'm something similar, not the exact same thing," he clarified. But Kuchikesha kept laughing. "Whatever," said Simba as the group kept walking. "Okay, in what way?" asked Nala, who had been lost in her own thoughts up until now. "What do you mean, in what way?" Kuhisha asked back. "In what way am I like a sister to you?" asked Nala. "Oh, that's easy. You're like a back sister who can be a bit condescending at times," interjected Mitu, much to everyone's surprise. "Excuse me?"
asked Nala, eyeing her brother with mild ire. Mitu swallowed hard and then tried to create some distance between himself and his sister. Nothing, he said. I am not condescending, Nala opined. She was now walking towards her brother. This in turn made it look like the two cubs were playing catch, with the other cubs serving as obstacles. Finally, Mitu tried to hide behind Kuhisha. Why would you say something like that? She asked, still in low-key ire. Well, he is right, kind of, Kuhisha mused. What? Nala exclaimed. Guys, you can keep walking. I want to have a talk with Nala, Simba and Mitu. See you at the den, Kuhisha said to his gang. They didn't argue and kept walking. See you there, Kurt, said Chwari with a quick smile. You can be a bit arrogant. Not in the way Simba is arrogant, but more in the way an overly attentive student can be arrogant. Also, it doesn't help that you treat Mitu like he is much younger than you, even though you're twins, Kuhisha finished. Now Nala was confused. You admire that in me? She asked. Not quite. I like that it's a part of you. It means that there is someone who can put you down a peg when needed. Simba, for example, can be a brat, Kuhisha said. Hey, I represent that, Simba exclaimed. Resent, Simba, Nala corrected him. That too, Simba mumbled. My point is that he is his own brand of arrogant. In order for him to become a good leader, he needs a good helping of humble pie every now and again, Kuhisha explained. Now I need that too from time to time. Simba and you are both in a position to remind me of that. Neither of you is part of the group that I lead because you are your own gang, of sorts, he went on. Basically, you aren't above calling Mum when I act out of line. My mum, Simba's mum, or your mum, Nala. Just like a sibling would, Kuhisha finished again. You like to think of me and Simba as your siblings because we're tattletales? Inquired Nala. You tattle as a last resort. Before that, you will call me out on my bullshit. That is a very respectable trait. Just like I will call you out on your bullshit, Kuhisha explained. Okay, I think I get it. It's kind of sweet in an odd way, Nala said. Oh, and I also see you as a role model, Kuhisha added. Really? How come? Nala asked. You don't cause too much worry for your mom. I want to be like that, or at least seem that way to my mom, Kuhisha explained. You want to learn to be a goody two-shoes? Simba asked in amusement. I want to learn how to no longer cause my mother more worry than needed. She went through a lot before we came to the Pride Lands, and I don't want her to worry about me all the time, Kuhisha explained. Aw, that's sweet of you, said Mitu. Sure, it's nice, but you're still asking Nala to teach you how to be a mama's boy, teased Simba. Kuhisha rolled his eyes and quickly said, Prince who calls makeup war paint says what? What? Simba responded in bewilderment. That's what I thought, grinned Kuhisha. So, Nala, can you teach me how to be a good, or at least seemingly good and obedient cub? Kuhisha asked. Sure, since Simba never even gave this idea any consideration, and Mitu is already well behaved, I can't see the harm in teaching you a few things about being a good cub. At least in your mom's eyes, she said. Yay, now you have two well-behaved gay brothers, snarled Simba. First of all, began Kuhisha, I'm not gay. I just happen to have my first crush on Mitu. Haven't had a crush on anyone else, really, so the jury is still out on that. Secondly, as Nala already pointed out, I'm not going to be well-behaved. I'll just seem well-behaved, he explained to Simba. Don't worry, I don't think I will confuse Mitu for Kuhisha or vice versa anytime soon, laughed Nala. The other three joined in her laughter. After a few minutes, the four cubs had stopped laughing and were now again on their way back to Pride Rock. So I take it you and your gang are now friends with me, Nala and Mitu? Asked Simba. Kind of. Most of my gang is cool with whomever I am cool with. And you did get me out of a coma. However, you might want to engage with some of them one-on-one to truly win them over.
Kuchikesha, for example. Just a suggestion. Kuisha finished, but then remembered something. Oh, actually, you know what would wow them? Seeing your choreographed dance in action. You know, the one we caught you rehearsing there one time. Kuisha said excitedly. What? You bullied me for that. How will that help me with some of your gang members? Simba asked. Confidence, Kuisha answered. You got all defensive when we first caught you a few weeks ago. Had you played it off with confidence and just ignored us, we probably wouldn't have done anything, Kuisha elaborated. At least I would have let you be. Okay, I'll think about it. I've actually been thinking about including Nala in that choreography, but that would take more time. I guess I can give you guys a solo performance, Simba stated. Great, opined Kuisha. Just tell me when and we will be there. You want to include me in your dance routines? Asked Nala. That sounds almost romantic. She giggled. Chapter 18. Soubresaut. The next day, Simba had assembled Kuhisha and his gang, as well as Nala and Mitu, not too far from Pride Rock. Initially being nervous, he swallowed his pride and stepped out from behind a tree. Okay, so this choreography will eventually be expanded to include Nala, Simba said, trying not to stumble over his words. But for now, it's just me, he explained. I also came up with a song for it. I kind of made that song as a fuck you to my babysitter, he went on. It's called Just Can't Wait to Be King, and... He hesitated, seeing the eyes of those who, not too long ago, had bullied him, now looking at him expectantly, made him feel weird. And I am kind of proud of what I managed to come up with. He thought about asking them not to laugh, but knew better than that. Get to it, princess, shouted Kuchikesha. Yeah, we want to see some graceful moves, little brother, added Kuhisha. Shake it, Simba, yelled Nala with genuine enthusiasm. Blow him away, she hollered. Okay, whispered Simba. Here goes nothing. What followed was an impressive display of coordination, stamina, grace, and creative expression. One particularly noteworthy move included Simba sliding down the side of a tree, emerging from a pirouette-like spin on 3 of his 4 legs, with his 4th leg being stretched out to the side. It was all around a display of meticulously planned and almost flawlessly executed dance. Simba finished the performance off by jumping off of a rock with a somersault and landed on his paws without a slip-up. He was severely out of breath. A moment of silence followed, as Simba's eyes flicked from one audience member to the next. He was about to say something when Kuchikesha of all cubs spoke up. His eyes were filled with awe. That was far too fucking cool, he opined. The others slowly began to add murmurs of approval. Maybe a bit too flamboyant for my personal taste, but still damn impressive, said the Raja. Simba heard that, but tried to take the compliment part of that statement while ignoring the rest. Quite fabulous, said Kuhisha with a grin. Fabulous? Asked Simba. It means, Kuhisha began, but Simba interrupted him. I know what it means, I'm just not sure how you meant it, he said, giving Kuhisha a suspicious look. I meant it just the way I said it, Kuhisha chuckled. He means it well. It was really very impressive, Prince, said Shwari with his usual calm demeanor. Cool, said Simba as he finally realized that his performance had indeed been received rather well. You shook it real good, hollered Nala. You rocked that batch, said Mitu in agreement. This in turn made everyone go quiet in surprise. What? Asked Mitu. I can freely curse if I want to. As long as Mum isn't around. Speaking of Mum, said Simba, feeling invigorated from the response that he had gotten for his dance. Are you gonna hold a performance for your mummy? Teased Kuhisha. What? No. She was one of the first people to have seen it. Granted, I didn't say anything about the song's lyrics, but she has already seen it, said Simba, only to realize that Kuhisha was taking the piss. Did she like it? Asked Mitu with genuine interest. She did. Dad liked it too, but that's beside the point. Simba focused again. Later today, when the sun is setting, my and everyone else's mom will be doing the tribe's huntresses dance to rain in the rain season, Simba explained. And you're going to do a little dance as well? In makeup? Asked Kahisha, chuckling yet again. Yes, in war paint I will participate, Simba countered with a sly grin. Now, he went on, the dance isn't too complicated. Does anyone else want to learn it from me? Simba asked. Kahisha, maybe? Why would I want to do that? Kahisha asked. Last I heard, you wanted brownie points with your mum. Surprising her with a quick-learned choreography that means a lot to the pride might help that endeavor. Kahisha didn't quite know how to respond to that. Scared? Simba teased. Of what? You as my dance instructor, Kahisha countered. Let's get going. If it's as easy as you say, then you won't have any trouble showing me. Then Kahisha got serious for a second. Honestly, if I would trust anyone to teach me a dance routine in one evening, it's you. Because you got the leadership skills for it. Kahisha petted Simba's head. Thanks, Simba said with pride beaming in his eyes. Anyone else? Simba asked before him and Kahisha got to work on the first steps. Chapter 19. Encore. The sun was slowly setting on Pride Rock. Shadows began to grow larger. It was in these final fading hours of sunlight that the tribe had assembled to watch the huntresses perform their huntress dance. The huntresses were positioned on the presentation platform facing the den entrance. Simba and Kahisha were standing by underneath the platform, ready to jump up and join the performance once the signal was given. With great pride am I here to welcome the rainy season, said King Mufasa with his usual warm and patient smile. As is tradition, we welcome this season with a dance that has been part of these lands for far longer than I have been here. He went on, Rain is life, and in life there is death, death that makes way for yet more life. Rain nourishes our prey, and our prey nourishes us, as it has always been in the circle of life. He finished and made way for the lionesses to start their huntress dance. As they went through the movements, they began to chant, Magi, Ulisha, Mimea, Inayolisha, Vanyama, Vanaolisha, Vanyama. Kahisha and Simba got ready. Kulisha, Viyana, Ritu. That was the cue. They jumped out and joined in the dance. Simba in war paint and Kahisha without. Simba didn't have any trouble staying in sync with the lionesses, but Kahisha had trouble keeping up. Kukua wa nuvu. The chant continued. Just follow my lead, Simba instructed Kahisha. He had noticed the older cub's difficulties with the dance moves. They had rehearsed, sure, but there was only so much time in one evening. Bahari ni mamilioni ya madoni. The chant went on. Simba moved closer to Kahisha while still keeping in step with the dance. Listen to my voice and move how I say, Simba instructed Kahisha. Then Simba began to chant in rhythm to Kahisha. Left step, right step, half turn, right, half turn, left, he said without missing a beat. Having his instructor guide him helped Kahisha stay on track. Kwa hivyo endelea kuanguka, the huntresses chanted. You're doing great, Simba encouraged Kahisha. Kahisha smiled as he tried his best not to miss a step. The big finish was coming up. Sisi ni mogda, the chant declared. Kahisha felt his mother's gaze on him. She was one of the huntresses after all. Sisi ni Simba, went the chant. He could tell that she was proud of him. Sisi ni kama magi, the chant finished. Simba looked at Kahisha and Kahisha looked back at Simba. Both were out of breath. You know what? That war paint really does look cool or pretty or whatever good thing you want to call it on you, said Kahisha. Thanks. Also, you did amazingly well. You can be proud of yourself. Scratch that. I'm proud of you, Simba declared. Bring it in, asked Kahisha, holding up one of his front paws, offering a hug to Simba. Of course, said Simba as he hugged Kahisha. When they released the hug, they saw their respective girl and boyfriend approach. "Well done, you two," said Nala as she nuzzled Simba. "Yeah, you looked really cool, Kohisha," said Mitu as he nuzzled up to Kohisha. "The next generation of hunters, I see," said Mufasa as he approached the 4 cubs. "Yeah, Dad. I can't wait to slay some wildebeests," said Simba with a determined smile. "You can't wait to slay," chuckled Kohisha, but Simba just brushed the childish joke aside. "You like the war paint?" asked Mufasa. "What? Oh, it's not..." Simba was about to get defensive, but then thought better of it. Yeah, it looks pretty, doesn't it, Dad?" he said, sounding self-assured. "Yeah, it does indeed. And your girlfriend thinks so too, probably," chuckled Mufasa. Simba and Nala looked at each other, and Simba instinctively took a small step away from her. "Dad!" pouted Simba. "She's not... I mean, she is, but it's just..." He tried to find the right words to get out of this embarrassing situation. Mufasa ran his paws over Simba's hair tuft and chuckled. "It's all right, son. No need to be embarrassed. I give you 4 some space so that you can talk about whatever you want. Your mothers will call you into the den in a few minutes anyway," said the king and started to walk towards the den entrance. "I'm glad you managed to get along as well as you did," he said to the group after turning around for one last time. "Kohisha," sounded the familiar female voice approaching the 4 cubs from the platform. It was Kohisha's mother, Umusa. Kohisha looked expectantly up at his mother. For a moment, Simba recognized the small cub for who he was deep down. The same scared cub that longed for his mother's embrace, that Simba had seen during Kohisha's coma. "I am very proud of you," she told Kohisha. "It takes a lot of guts to do a performance in front of the entire pride, never mind the king." "Thanks, Mom," Kohisha said and purred with joy. "And you, young prince, you are quite good at instructing. I think you will one day be a good leader." With those words, she left the 4 cubs and moved towards the den entrance. The end.
That was Like Brothers, a Lion King fanfiction written and read by Lionkingview. Good night and good luck to whomever you may be.